Welcome everyone, I'm Matt and I'm excited to be back today with a public speaking reaction video to the notorious Conor McGregor. If you're new to the channel, we study inspiring people and produce motivational content, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Conor McGregor is the biggest martial arts fighter in the world. Not just in the world, in the history of the sport. He's a two-division world champion and one of the few fighters to ever cross over into the mainstream. 4 of the 5 biggest pay-per-view fights in the history of the UFC were Conor McGregor fights. He has 37 million followers on Instagram. The fact is, love him or hate him, people are interested in this man. There really is so much to unpack with Conor McGregor. He's had a very eventful few years since he burst onto the scene with the UFC in 2013. So in this video, it's going to be the first of a series of videos that focuses solely on his public speaking skills. Part 2 is going to be about what drove his incredible rise to stardom. And part 3 will cover what changed to lead to a rocky few years and what the future holds. In this video, I'm reacting to the Toronto press conference for his boxing bout with arguably the best boxer of all time, Floyd Mayweather. By the way, this press conference had 16,000 in attendance, which is higher than most UFC events. This means that more people turned up to watch Conor and Floyd talk than to watch most MMA fighters fight. This gives you an idea of how popular he is.
On behalf of Showtime Pay-Per-View, as well as our partners, Mayweather Promotions, UFC, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment.
This is a great example of what not to do by the person introducing the fighters. His elbows are on the podium, so you can't see any of his hand gestures. He's holding paper, meaning it's much easier to see that his hands are shaking, showing that he's nervous, and he's looking down to read his notes, which means he's breaking the connection with the audience by not making any eye contact. He's also nervously swaying side to side. It feels like he's hiding behind the podium. If possible, when you're public speaking, when you're doing a presentation, never stand behind the podium. All these things that this man is doing are reducing his connection with the audience and make him lose credibility.
Does this mic work? Well then, that mic.
Now, contrast this to how Conor comes out. So much presence, he immediately owns the stage. You couldn't ignore him if you tried. He stands up straight, moves around the stage, pauses for effect. He takes up as much space as possible with his posture. To say his posture is confident is probably an understatement. It isn't just confident, it's dominant. It's almost animalistic, like he's prowling, ready to hunt prey. You have to take into account the circumstances here though. Dominant posture would annoy or offend people in a work meeting. But he's about to fight another man. This is a dangerous sport. There's a psychological dominance battle taking place here. Therefore, dominant posture is appropriate for this situation. Confident posture is always the goal when you're public speaking. It will help people buy into you, into your energy and your message.
On the count of 3, I want everyone in this arena to scream at the top of your lungs, F the Mayweathers. 1, 2, 3. No, 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 no. We can do better than that. When I count to 3, I want this entire arena to scream, F the Mayweathers. 1, 2, 3, F the Mayweathers.
Wow. This kind of crowd interaction is like what you'd see at a festival. But interaction with the audience makes people participate. It can shake people up and improve engagement because they now feel part of the show. It's always a good idea to have some kind of audience participation or engagement when you're public speaking.
They're trying to set me up at every turn out here. They're trying to catch me off guard, trying to see me in an uncomfortable position. But I thrive in uncomfortable positions.
See the intensity in his words here. He's so much emphasis in his voice on the word thrive. He has a hand gesture to go with it, and then he pauses for effect.
There is nothing these can do to faze me.
Again, we see the gestures when he says, they can do to faze me.
28 years of age, I'm getting fight checks and promoter checks. When Floyd was 28, he was on Oscar De La Hoya's undercard. And that's just facts.
There's so much intensity here. We see the volume increase, the emphasis he puts on with his voice and his hand. There's a lot of anger in his delivery here, which, I mean, normally I wouldn't advise it, but the emotions feel real. And it's important to take the circumstance, the situation into account here, because in a normal situation, no, you probably shouldn't show signs of anger. But when you're about to fight another man and you're hyping a fight, it's appropriate.
What's up, Toronto? What's up, Ireland? Life is so fucking good. How do I look?
Now this is very interesting. Notice the switch from almost complete anger and intensity to smiling and laughing. It's a performance. It's almost like subtle role playing. There's two different characters he's playing. The first Conor is the one who's going to be fighting Floyd. This guy is angry. He's trash talking. He's cursing. He's trying to get in Floyd's head any way he can to get an edge. The second Conor is loving life. He's happy. He's making jokes. He's paying respect to the fans.
I'm not fucking leaving.
I mean, talk about a power pose. Your psychology follows your physiology, meaning that if you act confident with your body, you're more likely to feel confident in your mind. And Conor's body language here reflects his confidence. The more vulnerable a position that you're in, the more comfort and confidence it shows. And in this case, he has his arms out and his head up, an extremely vulnerable position. This pose allows you also to fully expand your chest and lungs so you can breathe really deeply.
Toronto, what a fucking city. What a city. What a city.
Another good gesture here. He touches his heart when he says, "What a city." Gestures like this help clarify his message. They make what you're saying more interesting, more credible, and increase the audience's focus.
They said I had no chance. They said I'm in over my head. They said he kicks too hard.
That's an anaphora. When you use the same word or words at the beginning of two or more sentences, it helps create flow and power to what you're saying.
Too many weapons. The Irishman's gonna fall short. He doesn't stand a hope. It took me 13 seconds.
Many people doubted him for this fight. They thought that it wouldn't be competitive because this was a boxing bout. And Conor fights in mixed martial arts, which is a completely different sport. So he increases the belief in people that he can win by listing all the doubts people had in him about another fight that he won. He plants the seeds in our minds that if he overcame all those doubts last time, why can't he do it again this time? Then he delivers the punchline. It took me 13 seconds, which is the amount of time it took him to win the other fight. This is a powerful way to persuade people that he can win.
He tip-tap-toes to a decision.
Tip-tap-toes to a decision. This is an example of alliteration. Alliteration adds flow to what you're saying by using words that begin with the same letter or the same sound.
Shout out Drizzy Drake. Started from the bottom, now I'm here.
Now we see the fun Conor again. He's dancing, having fun. He does a high-pitched scream, a power pose as he looks to the sky. Letting loose like this again, it just shows so much confidence to be able to fully let go like that in front of so many people. He's having fun. And because mirror neurons transmit emotions from one person to another, the audience now also feels the fun.
Toronto, I love you all. Thank you all so much. It's an honor for me to come here. It's an honor. I love each and every one of you.
He ends with paying respect to the audience again, compliments them, which again gives them serotonin, and says it was an honor, showing humility. He also bows at the same time he says the word honor, which gives his words more credibility because they're synced up to his nonverbal communication. If I was going to make some suggestions, I would say to move with purpose. Circling around the stage can be distracting or can be seen as a sign of nervousness, so it's best to keep movement functional, make it link to what you're saying. Also, I would avoid chewing gum whenever public speaking. That can be distracting as well and seen as unprofessional in most situations. It's also worth noting that the press conference was part of a 4-day world tour, 4 days in a row. The day before this, he was completely unprepared. He didn't even know he had to do a speech, and you could tell he just made up something on the spot. That means that really he only had 1 day to prepare for this talk. On top of that, this was Conor's first boxing bout ever. His first professional boxing bout, arguably against the best boxer ever. He was out of his comfort zone in a different world. Yet despite all this, he was able to deliver a speech like this. It is mind-blowing. It almost doesn't make sense how anyone could be so confident in this situation. We have to remember, he isn't a professional public speaker or a rock star who plays in front of stadiums on a regular basis. He's a fighter. He probably has never had any public speaking training. Yet I don't think he used any filler sounds. He's so comfortable on the stage. He uses so many public speaking techniques. The way he energizes the crowd brings all this intensity and passion to them. He has everybody going nuts. It's actually amazing how good he is. Some people just have an innate understanding of how to connect with people. Remember, this is the first of a 3-part series of videos on Conor McGregor. So be sure to check back next week when we talk about what was behind his rapid rise to stardom. And you know what I'm going to say? If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Conor McGregor is a good public speaker? Or let me know if there's any topics or reaction videos you would like to see me do. Hit that like button as well. Thank you for joining me. I'm Matt. I'll see you in the next video.